to Sandy Nora's podcast.
Hey, Nora.
Hey, Sandy.
How are you doing? You know, it's like spring here, which, I mean, doesn't mean much. Again, it's like a place with no real seasons. But what it does mean is it's like gorgeously purple everywhere because the jacaranda trees are in bloom. And I just absolutely love it.
Uh-huh. That sounds nice. There's still nothing on our trees here at all. It's okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. I just had to say it. It's like the wonder of the world. It's gorgeous. It's amazing.
It is amazing. It's beautiful. And I am a little bit jealous. I always forget. And then I hit May and go, oh yeah, May is not warm in Quebec City. May is cold. May is kind of miserable because it rains all the time. It really should be May showers bring June flowers in this province or in this southern part of the province. And so, yeah, I've been stuck in rain. And this rain, I mean, I mentioned it on Substack and on social media. People know, I mean, I got hit by this car in Ottawa because of the rain. Because of the driver not paying attention, but it was rainy and dark. And so I've just been feeling this cloud of like, not loving it.
That is like so awful. You got hit by a car. I feel like we need to tell the audience a little bit more about this. You got hit by a car. Like I know
it's crazy.
I mean, my first question, I mean, we've spoken about this already, but my first question was like, were you on a bike? Were you walking? Like, tell me a little bit about it. Like, and also number one, are you okay?
Yeah. No, I'm okay. Gotta shout out sports for keeping me, I guess, in the kind of shape where I can react really quickly because, I was literally physically hit by this car. And it's kind of wild because like I've been bumped by cars before. I've been almost hit by cars. Obviously, I think everyone probably in this country has been almost hit by a car. And in this case, I literally went from I am standing on the street to oh my God, I'm on my back, I'm disoriented, and oh, is that the hood of a car that I'm on top of? Like, I was literally on the hood of their car as they were driving, and then, completely disoriented, wasn't really able to see anything until I realized that if I didn't get off the hood, I would end up under its wheels, or maybe they would stop. Like, I had no idea. Like, all I could think of was get off of this car, don't end up under wheels, and I didn't, and I'm okay. But I have been like so mad about it since, I would say that, people have been very clear, like, be careful, take care of yourself, like, watch out for any kind of like post-trauma kind of symptoms or whatever. And I think all I'm left with is like white hot rage.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of places where that rage could be directed, but where are you feeling it directed towards?
Well, this morning I was walking back from my kid's school and there was a woman who parked her car in front of a garage door. I mean, in Quebec City, the downtown people, if you've got a parking spot, they tend to rent them out for the day because there's not much parking downtown. And so she was parked in front of someone's garage door, probably paid, but she parked it like on a 45-degree angle right across the sidewalk. In the kind of parking that like would suggest to me someone was like being chased by the cops or really had to just run in for 1 second, had no time to fix this, and we'll be back in their car. And so I directed my rage this morning to like watching her and realizing, oh my God, this lady is literally keeping her car parked there for the day like that. Like, okay. And so after a couple blocks, we're walking the same direction. I was like, did you really just park your car over the sidewalk? And she looked at me as if like I had just given her a revelation. And she's like, oh, is that not allowed?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I was like, no, that's not allowed because, people use the sidewalk and can't get around your car because there's a curb in the way. And she's like, she literally says to me, I was being very polite and she's being very, very polite. And she says, oh, I didn't know. She's like 65. I didn't know. So she turned around, went back and I guess fixed her car. I don't know. But that kind of thing, I am just like car culture in this country drives me so absolutely insane. And like I was hit at midnight, like just, just after 11 o'clock, I guess, on Wednesday night last week. And Friday afternoon, an SUV hit someone blocks away from where I was hit and sent that person into serious condition in the hospital and smashed into a building. And it's like,
oh my
what
God.
is going on our roads? And then yesterday, 2 cars smashed in a suburb in Quebec City, and the crash caused them to injure 2 children walking home from school, both of them who are in serious and one critical condition.
Oh my God.
Like, I just feel like the war on pedestrians in this country is so acute. It is so dangerous. And I wish that there was some kind of way to actually organize people around it, because I think ultimately the vast majority of people are sympathetic to not wanting to be killed while they're walking or biking around a car, even if they're driving cars themselves. I know a lot of drivers are very nervous that they'll hit people. I was talking to one person about the intersection where I was hit in Ottawa, which I think was Bank and Albert. Or maybe Bank and Slater. I don't know. It's Bank and Slater, whatever. Who cares? All these streets are the freaking same. They were saying that things have changed so many times in that part of downtown Ottawa that they're not even sure what direction they can go and how to turn, and they don't feel safe driving. And it's like, this is the problem. When you create infrastructure that encourages people to drive on a highway across a downtown, whether that downtown is a big downtown or a small downtown, you create the conditions for drivers to make enormous mistakes. And I think that the indifference that so many politicians have towards this issue, this I think more than any other issue right now makes me think of violence. Makes me think of violence.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously live in a city that also has some really, really terrible infrastructure problems when it comes to car culture. And then you like link that to how people are working around the clock also and feel like they can't like stop looking at their phones. And it's like a consistent recipe for disaster. And one thing that's like very strange about LA that people may not know is that it actually has really great biking infrastructure in terms of like bike lanes on the ground compared to like a city like Toronto. It's very strange because not a lot of people bike, but someone has convinced the city to put a lot of biking infrastructure around. But the weird thing is, it's like, it's almost everywhere. But when a bike lane ends, it just fucking ends. There's like no thought to how it should end. And of course, with this, like with the gas prices doing what they're doing in the United States, more and more people are turning to bikes. And LA is trying its hardest to get some good transit infrastructure finished up before the World Cup and the Olympics. And I mean, they're failing, but they're trying, which means more and more people are at least, using intersections, if not actually walking to where they need to go. And it is just, I see so many close calls, like near daily. But also here, pedestrians know that they have to watch, like, because no car is looking out for you. And oftentimes people are just like, you look into other cars, people are just looking at their phones. And so it's just a bad situation that could be fixed with some good political will to put in some more infrastructure for public transportation and for other ways of getting around than a single person vehicle. But we can all wish for things,
Well, we have to organize really for them.
Well, that's what I was about to say. But what really makes things happen is actually organizing for them.
Yeah, and to do this in a way that's courageous, that doesn't accept the bullshit that comes from like the right and the far right that claims that actually the natural state of everyone is to be locked away in their cars. Because this is an issue, of course, we see in Quebec City because the radio world is so it's so desperately clinging to having people in their cars as their means for survival. And it's possible that you are listening to us right now in your car. Maybe you're listening to us in your car on the podcast, or maybe you're listening to us on Sirius XM. Like, it's obviously powerful to have someone's undivided attention. Oh, except that your attention is divided. Like, pay attention to the road, right? Listen to us, but pay attention to the road. They know that if they get people out of their cars, then all of a sudden they start to realize certain things are possible, and actually we don't need cars as much as they want us to need cars. I mean, one of the biggest fights in Quebec City has been over a bike lane on a main east-west road in the upper town. And like, big surprise, a study has come out to show that since they put the bike lane in, which replaced parking, right? So people just parked somewhere else. Businesses have had an increase in their sales. And then the far right in the city is like, oh, this is obviously fake. Oh, they've obviously manipulated the data. Oh, this can't be real. And it's so funny because it's like the picture they illustrated this article with is of a bakery that I only go to now because of the bike lane. And like, I have been there like 10 times in the last year only because of the bike lane, because otherwise I was kept off the main roads and I was in residential areas where there's nowhere to get like a chocolatine. So anyway, this episode's not about cars and car culture, but Christ, it's hard to experience something like this and to not feel like I probably have to share my thoughts.
Yeah. So it sounds like your rage is focused on a lot from the individual to the government. And I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And I, for one, am very, very grateful that you are okay.
Oh my God.
That's just so awful.
Well, especially, and I have to mention this. I mean, both of us are friends with someone who died, who was hit by a car in downtown Ottawa when she was 27 years old. Right. So it's been a number of years now. But
that was like, literally the first thing I thought of when you said that. I was like, oh my God.
And in her case, I mean, anybody listening who knew Alexander Dodger knew what a strange and special person she was. She was working at the time for Amnesty on the war crimes case that they were trying to bring against George Bush. And she was hit in Ottawa in the market at in the middle of the night as she was crossing the street. So, I know that this stuff, everybody I think has some kind of story like this. Growing up, I remember my best friend's grandfather was killed as he was riding a bike. And if you're a progressive person and you're looking to organize and you don't know where to start, I do think that pedestrian safety is one of these things that is very obvious and easy in terms of getting people on side. And we really need to start putting the gears to this business lobby that pretends like they need cars to survive. No business needs cars to survive except for, like the car companies and the car manufacturers. And we need to do everything we can to kind of change that narrative, because they've really had a captured audience on that narrative for far too long.
Mm-hmm. 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 I assume that there's more to be grateful for than just the fact that you're okay.
Yes.
That was like the most contrived segue. I really tried on that. It wasn't all that successful, but do we have some folks to thank for helping us make this podcast today?
Yeah, we have so many folks to thank, and also actually some names that both of us know, some longtime friends. So thank you so much to Abra, Janet, Shone, Dan, and Kayla for your support. We could not do this podcast without you and without everybody that has ever supported us in any way. We love you all so much, and we send you big thanks.
Yes, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
So, Sandy.
Nora.
As my co-host, as my co-partner on this podcast, uh-huh. You're not exactly my boss, but I guess if someone was going to start complaining about me to my boss, they would talk to you. Have you heard any complaints about me this week from any, I don't know, Zionist groups that exist to harass journalists and try and silence us?
Oh, you know what? First of all, yes, I'm not your boss. And also you're like ungovernable. Who's your boss? But that's happened before, when you may have said some things about Humboldt, people have tried to complain about you To me, which I thought was an interesting choice, but like I don't spend my life on social media that much, so I wouldn't be able to tell. But I don't like maybe so quickly, but I don't think so. I should check. I don't think so. Did you do something again?
Well, maybe you haven't heard anything because Honest Reporting thinks that the Daily News podcast was aired on Radio Canada, the CBC's French service.
Wait, what? The Daily News? Do they know that?
Yeah,
it's
so
in
let's
English?
talk about. Let's talk about.
So sorry, are you trying to tell me that Honest Reporting Canada made a complaint about you to Radio Canada?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So this episode is going to talk about the cooling of the press freedom that we don't have to talk about Palestine, and I want to start here. So recently I found out that Honest Reporting came across a segment from the Daily News podcast, and they're like, we're not sure when it aired really or where, except it's definitely on Radio Canada, and we definitely are asking you all to complain, just like we did, that that Radio Canada allows this disgusting anti-Semite to be on their airways. And it's like, okay, there's a lot wrong with that. But what are they talking about? I mean, I haven't been on Radio Canada in a while, and certainly I haven't been on Radio Canada to talk about Gaza in probably 2 years, almost 2 years now. But okay. So I hit play on the little clip that they grabbed, and it's a segment from the Daily News in English.
Oh my God, that is so strange. Okay. Seems like a waste of their time and a waste of yours.
I am totally happy to be here to waste their time. So let's maybe back up because, we are 2 years and a half into this genocide. Gaza mostly sits in rubble, and we're going to talk a little bit about what things look like in Gaza right now, as we've been able to talk to some people who've been who are there, and I think, one of the ways I want to start this conversation is by talking about this group, Honest Reporting. And so they, if you go to their website, I mean, they are like an AI vomit machine of every single person that has ever mentioned Israel in any kind of negative light. Like it's really stunning. They emerged, actually, I don't even know when they were founded, but like post October 7th, 2023, they have really tried to get any single journalist who works in media in Canada to be kind of, I don't know, removed or silenced or not allowed to write about Israel in any critical way at all. Now, the first time that I was caught up by, no, that's not true. I've been caught up by them a bunch of times, but one of the times that I was the most unsettled was I wrote this piece for The Walrus on how to count casualties in a war zone. And obviously Gaza looms large in that piece. And they managed to get their hands on, this was so wild. They got their hands on a copy of the magazine image before I had seen it, before I was sent it by the publisher or my editor, and before it was on stands. And they published that to say that my article was full of lies, that it was all bogus, everything I was saying about casualty counting, and I'm just a propagandist for Hamas. And it's like, if you read the article, like, it's The Walrus. It has to be incredibly fact-checked. Although, actually, ultra side note, the Walrus this month has a line saying that the LEAP manifesto was launched alongside Leonard Cohen, and I thought that was a really funny thing. That's not true. He like endorsed it, but like he wasn't present. I just imagining Leonard Cohen at an NDP convention just made me laugh so hard. But it's so very strange. Yeah. Anyway, there are no things like that in my piece. I don't think. But ultimately, I mean, it's true. It's true. It's just that Honest Reporting exists to launder the reputation of Israel in Canada. And so, so they picked up on this segment from the Daily News that aired in April about how much money Canadian investment firms and banks are investing in the war machine in Israel. And it's like, this is publicly accessible stuff, right? Like you can support that. You can think it's good, but you can't deny that it's not happening. I mean, like, you know, the group Just Peace Advocates did a pretty amazing job looking at how the hundreds of billions of dollars from Canada and Canadians' pockets are probably in most people's cases unwittingly being used to support Israel right now, like a state literally doing genocide. And they didn't like that. And it's like, it makes me want to, like, I don't know, scream that these people try to harass us into silence. And given everything that is absolutely true about what is happening in Gaza, I just don't understand how they're still operating. And what's worse, they have charitable status.
Wow. I mean, I went to the posts that they've put up, their page that talks about why you're such a terrible person. And besides the most hilarious line in it for me, which is that on your personal blog, you breathlessly wrote that you wanted to share a release because it's damning, which is like, writing is typically breathless. But it's like an interesting, don't go to Honest Reporting for their writing. But they say, I mean, this is the crux of their piece. Loretto's passing reference to, quote, Israel's apartheid regime, unquote, a phrase which she later repeated, was scandalously presented as a statement of fact on a news program rather than her own personal opinion. Such loaded terminology, when left unchallenged, does not simply blur the line. It destroys it completely, the line between reporting and advocacy. It blurs it completely. I mean, what? In actuality, here's their statement of fact. Israel is a liberal democratic state where all citizens, regardless of their ethnicity or religion, enjoy full and equal rights under the law. Didn't they just pass a death penalty law that is only for Palestinians? I mean, how can you continue to write this stuff with like, I mean, how can I top their breathlessly? How can you write that stuff with a, I don't know, with all the breath? I don't know. I'm not good at full-throatedly write it. Ugh.
It's pretty stunning. And if you go to their site, I mean, like every day they have a handful of people that they go after for various things. So like Evan Dyer is consistently mentioned in the most recent. He blatantly produces a one-sided report on the Iran war, which is like, what the hell are you talking about? They're super mad that Elamin Abdelmahmoud from Commotion at CBC referred to the Iranian Lego videos as catchy, which Elamin's right. They're catchy. There are some bangers actually being produced in that campaign. The Hill Times reporter Sarah Harb is targeted for having a piece that, quote, promotes calls for Gaza immigration to Canada. How dare she?
Sorry, what is wrong with that? Like, sorry. So, like, your claims, like all of your claims about your being the Honest Reporting Canada, all of your claims are like focused on anti-Semitism, and all of a sudden it's like there's something horribly wrong about immigration from Gaza to Canada. Why? What's the problem? How does that factor into your claims? What's going on here?
Yeah, like, sure, right? Yeah.
Unless you're just supporting a xenophobic genocide. Like, that would make sense if that was happening. But otherwise, it doesn't make sense for your claims. What in the world?
Yep. They go after Rania Massoud from Radio Canada for having, quote, Penn's emotional story of Lebanon. Downplaying Hezbollah terrorism in the process. Okay. Chris Brown, I mean, pretty senior CBC reporter. He's reporting from Lebanon, and he, quote, fixates on Israeli strikes. It's like, yeah, because he could die from them, actually, as a reporter in Lebanon. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And they go after the McGill University newspaper, The Tribune, for, quote, amplifying extremist anti-Israel rhetoric treats falsehoods as facts. I mean, this is just on the first page. And if you are looking at it like right now, you'll probably have a whole bunch of other new people that they're going after. I think that like it is a kind of a stunning situation that they exist. And I think it is worth talking a little bit about the fact that they do exist and what they do. You know, this is a group that that has been trying, as I said, to launder the reputation of Israel in the media, which is not easy given that the lion's share of journalists who Israel has murdered comprises the lion's share of journalists murdered in the world. People make comparisons to World War II, saying that more people were killed, more journalists have been killed today than in World War II. I'm a little bit not sure about those kinds of guesses because, you know, I don't know if we had such good reporting back then of who a journalist was or not, but it doesn't matter because it is endemic, Israel's obsession with murdering journalists. And Dmitry Lascaris, who was just in Iran, he mentioned at some point that, you know, you're not even allowed to point a camera towards Israel, that you have to be very careful pointing a camera towards Israel because they have surveillance technology to make sure that that you're not taking photos and they'll know if you are. And, you know, who cares if you're killed? Israel also... This is wild, and this isn't just about journalism. Israel restricts, as in they do not allow the importation of pens and pencils. Did you know that?
What?
Yeah.
I did not know that. So, excuse me?
Yeah. Pens and pencils are not allowed in Gaza, and they are extremely restricted by Israel. And this is fact. My sources on this are like impeccable. It is fact. They are too dangerous. It is too dangerous to enter anything that can be considered educational into Gaza. And this is all at the demands of course, the occupying state of Israel. So, you know, Honest Reporting wants to tell Canadians and wants to convince Canadians that this isn't actually happening, that this is just, that these are all lies or libel or whatever. And they don't want us to really think too hard about who they are. Thanks to Davida Mastracci at The Maple, we know a little bit more about Honest Reporting. You know, he reminds us, of course, and this is news that a lot of activists will know, that one of their paid staff was actually charged with mischief for having painted "Fuck Gaza" on a tree planter. Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know this article.
Yeah. And what I think is the most stunning thing like possible is they actually like addressed a parliamentary hearing about like journalism in Canada.
Yeah, that is so strange that they were a part of that. Like, how could they have? It's so. I mean, this is a group for which my understanding is that the Canadian Association of Journalists like has a campaign to like try to support journalists who are being targeted by Honest Reporting Canada. Like, what? How are they then giving statements to the parliamentary committee? Like, I just don't understand.
No, I mean, like it's really, really reckless. It's really reckless. And, you know, in their brief to the House of Commons, it's all like, it's just total propaganda, focusing on Hamas as if Hamas like even exists anymore. With all of these examples of, host Matt Galloway featured a guest who spread the unfounded quote unquote genocide slur 12 times.
That's a slur. Wow.
CBC News continues to use reporters who have expressed radical anti-Israel views, like Gaza-based videographer Mohammed El Saif. It's like he's in Gaza, dude. He's literally living in occupation. He's being ethnically cleansed. Like, okay.
And like, who else are they supposed to rely on for that information? If people can't even go there and like report without being afraid that they're going to be killed by Israel. / they can't even bring in pens and pencils. So what in the world? If you folks are interested, like Honest Reporting Canada itself, like they portray themselves, like their own statement about who they are is, we embrace the principles that a healthy democracy requires a well-informed citizenry. Our mission is to ensure truth, integrity, and fairness. and to combat ideological prejudice in journalism and the media as it impacts Israel. So that's their statement of like who they are. Spray painting of fuck Gaza notwithstanding. If you folks are interested in what they actually do, like some of the stuff that Nora's been mentioning, a lot of it there's like really great reporting in the Maple about it. Most of it done by Davida Mastracci. So encourage you to go forth and read it. But there is a great article on who is funding Honest Reporting Canada that folks should check out.
Yeah. And I think like it is worth, like when I see this list, it makes me just want to pull my hair out because it's like, this is so damaging. You're using Canadian money, your money, to hurt other Canadians that are just trying to do journalism, all because you disagree with that journalism. It's like, it's not incorrect to say that Gaza is under genocidal conditions. It is not incorrect to say that Israel is doing super bad stuff. Those things are not factually incorrect. In fact, they are factually correct. And, you know, one of the reasons I imagine that they're so mad that I mentioned the Just Peace Advocates research, which again is rooted in corporate filings, which you can find. It is fact. It is true. But they also revealed who funds Honest Reporting Canada. And so the filings, I don't think that they've been updated since 2023, but in 2023, the biggest funder was the Ronald S. Roadberg Foundation at $250,000. Now, the Ronald S. Roadberg Foundation funds a lot of different stuff. Most of what they fund is environmental related things. They fund some things related to drug use. They are a funder of Canada's National Observer newspaper, which makes me really sad because I used to be a columnist there, though it does explain why they seem to be allergic to writing about Israel, Palestine. But, you know, that's the top funder at $250,000. And the foundation claims that, you know, they've been focused on combating anti-Semitism. And that's part, I imagine, of what they would justify their expense in Honest Reporting Canada. The P. Austin Family Foundation gave Honest Reporting $110,000. The United Jewish Appeal of Greater Toronto, $83,000. The Israeli Foundation, and anybody who's in the arts knows how dominant the Israeli Foundation is in funding programs and grants and stuff. And so I know Palestinian activists and Palestinian artists who are petrified of saying what they think about Gaza because of funding from the Israeli Foundation potentially being threatened. They are giving Honest Reporting, or they gave Honest Reporting $75,000. The Gift Pack Foundation, $50,000. Linda Frum, $5,000. Peter Monk, $2,000. The Asper Foundation, $20,000. The Rotman Family Foundation, $12,000. And the Jewish foundations of Greater Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, and Calgary all gave between $45,000 and down to Calgary at $2,500. And it's like you are causing harm. You are causing harm to our democracy, to the ability of journalists to do their jobs in this country, and you're doing it under the guise of protecting Jews from anti-Semitism in Canada. Like, I just can't even imagine a more cognitively dissonant kind of situation. Like, that's not helping anybody. That's just harming people. That's just causing harm. You are actively causing harm. Why are you actively causing harm? Just to launder the image of a rogue state that will never clean its conscience on what it is doing in Gaza and in the West Bank and Lebanon and Syria and Iran? I don't know, Sandy. Like, I feel really like it's like an upside down world where we journalists that want to actually just be able to say things that are true, that are happening, are confronted by this amount of resources and this amount of obsession with what we do to convince the mainstream media to not hire us and to do so successfully. It makes me really sick.
Yeah, so much of our world right now, it feels very upside down. But this is a place in which it's been upside down for a long time. Because while this is happening in a very concentrated and maybe more elevated way, like this sort of thing has been happening to people who are trying to report on what life is like for Palestinians for quite some time. And the fact that it feels as though at this point now, the curtains should have been like like very clearly removed from anyone's eyes who was thinking that there was some sort of sense to the ways that people who wanted to report on Palestine were so completely shut out of Canadian mainstream media reporting for so long. Like I think we should be fully past that now, but to see this sort of obvious propaganda campaign be given credence, so much so that they're able to be invited to this parliamentary committee for comment. It just seems so strange, so weird, and it contributes to this landscape where we can't confidently understand what is real and what is not. And in this particular case, I think most people can understand that what's going on with what Israel is doing in the world. Most people can understand what's real now. Like, it's become really, really clear. But for an organization like this, in the landscape that we find ourselves in, the media landscape that we find ourselves in, it's like all they need to do is put out a story that says anything. It doesn't have to be true. It says anything that's not real. And they can coalesce a group of people who will believe it, because that's how the world works now. Like, we don't have to have a universal truth. People can just claim things and other people will believe it. But the mainstream media, these groups that are supporting them, they don't have to be a part of that. The government, they don't have to be a part of that. We can reject that. And in cases like this, where it's so goddamn obvious, why are they not rejecting it? It just seems very, 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 very strange. There's nothing good that comes from any sort of validation for a group like this. And I think it just becomes more and more dangerous for real journalism and reporting that we so desperately need right now.
Oh my God. And it's if you go to the Instagram account of Mohammed El Saif, who is this person that Honest Reporting named as being a problem that CBC News relies on his journalism, his last post was from February 6th. And it's actually unbelievable footage. It's of a house being bombed east of Gaza City. It's just he is so close to it. And you can see he's not the only person photographing it. And there's people running from the shrapnel. And I cannot believe actually how how vivid it is to witness this. You scroll back a little bit more. Instagram's not in order. So April 28th, he posted a video again near Gaza City, this time west of Gaza City, that had been bombed with 3 people that were killed in it, and he photographed them being taken off. I mean, it's why does Honest Reporting not want us to see this? Because they don't want to know. They don't want people to know how bad it is. And I've been talking to people who have been or who are in Gaza. And there are parts of Gaza that, as everybody knows, and as I have been able to confirm by people who have seen it, completely leveled. I talked to one person who was a medical worker and who said that for a trip of about 40 minutes on a not good road, there was nothing, that they saw nothing as they drove. Nothing was intact. Everything had been destroyed by Israel. Right now, I don't know if you know, Sandy, how the how dire the prices are to get anything in Gaza. But to give you an idea, a liter of motor oil goes for about $1,000 right now. And so things are slowly becoming impossible to fix and impossible to function. If you were to have a potato sack of cigarettes, that would go for $1 million.
What?
$1 million. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That is horrific. Oh gosh.
It's horrific. And of course, the terms of the ceasefire, the so-called ceasefire, we're supposed to allow a certain amount of humanitarian aid entering every single day. That has been consistently violated. Israel is constantly deciding this, no, not that, no, not this, is allowed, not allowed to enter the Strip. And for, since the beginning, anything that Israel considers to be dual use could be is rejected. So anything that could be turned into a weapon or anything that could be turned into something else is just basically rejected. And that goes as far as even the pits of dates, which could be used as bullets. I mean,
excuse me?
Yeah. We are witnessing the complete destruction of not just a modern society, but of an ancient society. And like that destruction is everything. It's everything from the water system, the educational system, the healthcare system, like civil infrastructure, family ties, journalism, civil society. All of this is being destroyed. And if you dare talk about this in Canada, the Israelis have a group in Canada doing their work for them called Honest Reporting, and they will come after you and they will try to ruin your life to make it so that you stop talking about this. And it's working, right? Like, I don't think it's like none of this stuff is secret. If you talk to people who are in or around Gaza, you'll find out what the conditions are like, obviously. But the government of Canada needs Canadians to not really know how bad things are, so that we're not really fighting with everything we have to get our government to at least do something, right? It's a non-issue now. It's like Mark Carney's the rock star, elbows up, blah, blah, blah. And despite all of the amazing organizing that's happened on the ground, it hasn't penetrated mass consciousness because we are not able to talk about this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's so clear what the trajectory is that the government wants, right? Like, right now, what do? They every time they're asked directly about Israel and support for Israel, they say something weird and kind of meaningless, like we support the International Criminal Court, or we support international law, and we'll always support the ways that the rules that need to be followed, and rules need to be followed. Never anything specifically about Israel, right? But then when you talk about Iran or Gaza, it's very clear. It's like, there's a condemnation of Hamas, or, look at how Iran treats women. It's like all of the stuff to try to paint itself as being on the right side of things. And then what is going to happen clearly is that when the dust settles and the fog of war is clear, although it hasn't been that foggy for like figuring out what the hell is going on and who to support and like who's being completely repressed and destroyed and wiped out. The government will say, oh my gosh, how could we have known? Like, this is terrible, and we condemn this moving forward. Let's figure out what it is that we need to put in place to make sure that something like this can never happen again. Well, we have those things in place. Canada has a responsibility to act, as do countries all over the world, to prevent what has happened in Gaza, to prevent what has been happening from the apartheid regime that is Israel for a long time, and have ignored those responsibilities because of a fealty to the United States, because of their economic interests in the region. And so, like, people, when it comes to a colonial state like Canada, there is a recognition that some people matter less than others. Like, that is how a colonial state like Canada has to justify its own existence, let alone the support of the existence of other such settler colonial societies anywhere else. And so that is what's happening. Certain people matter more than others, and so that is the cape that Canada is using to cover itself until it becomes really clear that there is nothing justifiable about any of this. So that's the trajectory of how they are going to rhetorically act here. And what Honest Reporting Canada is doing is trying to stop anyone who's trying to puncture holes in that trajectory, who is trying to stop that trajectory from continuing, and to force Canada to take a clear look at what it is supporting. And that is just absolutely unforgivable.
Totally. And it allows Canada to just hide behind doing literally nothing. So, Sandy, a couple of weeks ago, you mentioned the murder of Mohammed Hassan Haider, who was a Canadian who was killed by Israel in Lebanon. And you asked, I think, what's the Canadian government doing about this? Now, recently, CBC's Rafi Bouchikanian wrote about what Canada is going to do about this. Sandy, what do you think? A nation that is run by adults is serious. What would they do to try and figure out what happened with a foreign national being killed in Lebanon by, a hostile country that's trying to grab land? How should that investigation look?
Well, I know that whatever Canada is doing, it probably doesn't look like what it's supposed to look like. But at the very least, at the very beginning, I mean, they need to demand what all of the circumstances are that led to an execution by the state, because that's what it was, and needs to protect the interests of Canadians. Regardless, I mean, that is like the bare minimum of what a government should be doing for its citizens in another country.
Yeah, no. So they summoned the Israeli ambassador, and they asked Israel to investigate itself.
Wait, what?
But that the investigation should be full and transparent, said Anita Anand. And they expect answers from Israel. She says we were very.
Wait, sorry. To be clear, they are asking Israel to investigate and asking Israel to make a full investigation.
Yeah.
No, Nora. No. That is just too stupid. I'm so sorry. Really?
We were very adamant that this investigation is extremely important, said Anand.
Oh my God. Canada is such a joke. I'm so sorry.
It gets kind of worse. It gets kind of worse because in this article, Bouchikanian does something that doesn't always happen in Canadian journalism. So, thank you for that. He goes through a history of the summonses that Anand has made to Ido Moed, who is Israel's ambassador to Canada. And this is the third time in less than a year that Moed has been summoned. Okay. And so last May, Anand issued a summons because the military of Israel fired shots near a diplomatic delegation that included Canadians. Israel was like, oh, yeah, sorry. The delegation, quote unquote, deviated from its approved route. Now, this happens all the time in Gaza. And of course, this wasn't in Gaza. This was in the West Bank. But if for some reason, let's say you're a truck driver and you're trying to drive into, you've been approved, you're driving into Gaza to drop something off. If you turn suddenly, if you try to pass somebody, if you do something that is anything that the Israeli Defense Forces decide is weird, they'll kill you. And they do kill people for that. If you stand out of line, if you look in any way that they're not happy with, they'll shoot at you. And so, that's clearly what happened, I guess, in May 2025. They deviated from an approved route. Anand summoned Moed also in December because there was a group of MPs that were in Canada. There was a group of Canadian MPs who were in the West Bank and Jerusalem. People will remember that. And Israel said that they consider the group that sponsored the trip a terrorist organization.
What?
Okay, there's the investigation on that one. And when Canada asked them to probe their actions for having demolished a Canadian water treatment plant, that happened. The CBC doesn't say what happened with that. Again, what are you going to ask for? Israel's gonna be like, yeah, we demolished a good. And then, of course, when Canada was looking for information about Jacob Flickinger, who was with a food organization in Gaza and who was killed, the IDF said that it was a mistake, which, again, you do something a little bit different out of the absolutely fascist, rigid control of Israel, and you could pay for your life with that mistake. And so there it is. You know, if you're Canadian, you get killed in the Middle East by Israel. Canada's doing nothing to help you, nothing at all that is going to make any difference.
Oh my God. I continue to not understand how people in the government live with themselves, knowing that they have power in this moment and are just turning away. Like, how does one live with themselves? I find it so unsettling that so many people can just continue to look away when they have power. And then not only look away, but to help justify, to help launder the image of Israel, to engage in a way that is so clearly nonsensical, and then to prop up organizations like Honest Reporting Canada. It really does, it just makes the brain tired trying to figure out like what kind of justifications must be going on in the minds of these people to allow for this to continue.